Steph, Jordan had that play with about 3 minutes before halftime where he came in transition and cut back and forth through the key for that layup, and you guys stared each other down. And then Andre came out at one point in the second half onto the court and talked to him, and he said there's no better feeling right now than having the vets who've been through this, support him and give him that kind of guidance. Do you sense that he's just soaking it all in and just going for it?
Absolutely. That's his personality. He hadn't lacked confidence in himself, but it's also, again, trying to make sure he understands how he can influence a game, influence a series. It's nice to know, like, after probably the first 3 minutes when he got his bearings straight, that he remembered it's just basketball. It's just the same way he's been playing the last 2 months of the season and everything he's done to prepare himself for this moment. So once you get over that mental hurdle, kind of just become more free. And that play embodied it because, you just have the creativity, confidence in yourself to make a play. You don't second-guess yourself, and you kind of live with the results. And we've all done it for years, and he's stepping into that now. So it's fun to see.
Steph, you got it.
Steph, you had mentioned the other day that a big part of the rehab process for this injury is just managing it. What does that look like for the next 48 hours?
I mean, a lot of ice. It's tough because there's a balance between the rehab and therapy part and managing it, but also trying to get as much work in to get my skill set right. Because I talked about it, like the first 3 weeks, I literally couldn't do anything on my feet. And then you have a 10-day stretch where you have to be mindful of how much I'm on my feet and doing all that stuff while I'm trying to get reps in and get shots up. And Rick came up to me during the second quarter, and I already knew it, but he was just trying to remind me, like, I only had one scrimmage, and you're trying to match playoff speed and all that. Like, I've been through it, so I have an expectation. I know, like, how to do it, but it's also a reminder of the big picture of what we're trying to build towards. No, I'm trying to play for 2.5 months. So, that's a tough balance because tomorrow, like, I'd love to just go get shots up and all that, but got to clear some hurdles first.
Steph, it's one game, and this is one series, so that's my disclaimer. But I'm curious about your perspective on the bigger picture. If you go back to regular season, you guys come out the gate like crazy, and so title contention becomes part of the conversation immediately. Then you're navigating injuries and all these different things. By the end of it, Phoenix is jumping ahead. There's a big gap, and the conversation around your team has changed. Did you need a game like this where you see how dynamic these guys can be together? Because you're not just beating the Nuggets, you're taking it to them in the kind of way that if you can replicate that, then you have that swagger back where there's one goal in mind. I mean, does it change the outlook at all?
For the guys that have been there and understand what that journey is like, and at this stage of the season and the playoff chase, like, yeah, you start to kind of think about, like, what's next. That is because we've been there and we know there's no guessing, but it's also like a reminder that this group hasn't done it yet. And so no conversation in the locker room or in our practices, our preparation is about anything other than how do you win game one, how do you win game two coming up Monday, and then take it from there. That's the only way we're going to get to where we want to go. So yes and no. Like,
what about for you, though? Like, you look at the box, and you're like, I'm still finding my way back. I'm coming off the bench tonight. And for you, this is a blow. I mean, you're getting comfortable. But then you took it to him. I mean, that's a pretty good sign, no?
It's a great sign, but it's if you look at years past in our runs, even from 2015, that first year, like, we swept New Orleans, and then we were down 2-1 the next series and had to, face a little adversity. So that's coming at some point. And how we'll respond, we'll see. But right now, it's just literally about, I guess, to your point, taking that confidence from game one. How do you, double down on that next game? find kind of your niche plays, your go-tos, pet plays that you want to form an identity around, whatever lineups are going to be the most potent, and then hopefully when you look up, you got 4 wins in this first round, and you're starting to go back to the drawing board and understand the challenge only gets harder. So, yeah, there's a good energy and a good belief in what we're doing and that we can be that team, and it's not just talk, but at the same time, this team hasn't done it yet, so we can't get too ahead of ourselves.
Steph, do you ever, in a defensive matchup, worry about if Draymond can handle it?
Oh, never. His IQ is crazy just in terms of being able to make those adjustments based on who he's guarding, what challenge it is. And he's just always in the mix. So, he don't have to prove, who he is anymore, but he continues to go out and impact the game. Past the eye test is crazy when you watch him where he's at on the floor, looking overmatched against Jokic in a post-up situation. He finds a way to just make his presence felt. So it's great to see him peaking at the right time after all he's been through this season.
You've obviously had a front row seat the last month and a half to Jordan's, I guess, surge, especially with the stuff he's been doing with Draymond, the DHOs. Are you ever kind of looks like me out there a little bit?
Well, yeah, because our system, it's predicated on ball movement and player movement and everybody being in sync. And, Draymond's obviously talked about his defensive IQ, his offensive IQ as a playmaker. Depending on how guys are guarding him, he makes sure to get everybody involved. And there's some patterns that JP's figured out that make the game a little bit easier. But he's also different too. He's got that shiftiness and change of speed and stuff, and he just continues to find a way to make the defense pay for how they're going to guard him. So it's going to continue to elevate from here.
Steph, how important is your defense when you're going this small unit? And did you understand that this has been your best defensive statistical season? And how proud are you of that?
I need that clip from him, and I need to send that to Mike Brown. Because we have this defensive grade thing and some other metrics that he's been.
Did you win Player of the Month?
Early in the season. But anytime he comes at me with some pointers or whatnot, I'm going to play that clip for him, let him know that I'm here. Appreciate you.
You got a nickname for that closing unit yet?
No, that's y'all's job, right?
It's your job. I did it once.
Yeah. See, it's hard to keep doing it over and over again. Yeah. It's hard. It's hard stuff we all do, right?
I did it once.
Absolutely.
Steph, Steve said Draymond was clearly wired, and it was very important for him to get to game one. Did you sense that he was on edge and beaming for playoffs, get back into playoffs?
For sure, and this was an interesting week because you finished the year strong. He played a couple of back-to-backs to get his body going, and then you got to wait 6 days while the play-in tournament's going on, which was obviously fun to watch. But you get sick of. I think I might have been the only one that. I think I said it yesterday. I was the only one that enjoyed practice because that was my only time to get reps in. Everybody else is coming off that end of the year good stretch, and they just want to keep playing and get back out there. So yesterday's practice was kind of funny because it was preparation, but everybody was kind of pissed off. That was another day they have to wait. And today was just a different vibe, knowing the game was here and we had an opportunity to go out and just compete and enjoy a playoff atmosphere again. So Draymond definitely brought the juice today, and we'll need more of it.
I got to ask you about the shoes. You pulled out the Curry 6s from 10 in the town. That was obviously a tribute to my high school, correct?
Obviously.
What was behind the motivation for pulling out the classics?
It was that. It was knowing we hadn't been in the playoff series since Oracle, so kind of passing the torch off. But there's also some tech stuff in the shoes for my foot just to kind of make sure I was in good shape. So I was like my Forrest Gump. I just trying to learn how to run and walk again situation. It was great. There were some great moments, and like I said, it's still a young building and environment, and you're trying to find its identity. But it was loud at times, and went on some runs. There was a moment, I don't know if it's the third quarter, fourth quarter, I can't remember. Probably end of the third, I think we got up to like a 18, 20-point lead, 18 or something like that, and GP got fouled on transition. And it was almost because the lead was so big, you lose like the anxiousness of the moment, and that's where you remind yourself, like, this is a playoff game. Like, this is, every possession is important. I started pointing at the scoreboard, like trying to get everybody hyped, knowing that you got to build on that momentum every game to create that home court advantage, and it's been great. So it's only going to continue to get better as the stakes kind of get higher and higher.